Hey, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Tactical Friday. You heard from him this past Monday, and I am pleased to be bringing Stephen Carpitella, aka Carp, back on the show to talk a little bit more about his tactics and success with EPM. Carp, welcome back, my friend.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Man, I'm excited about this because I know we talked about words and we talked about the importance of several different things from awareness to intentionality and really focusing on how to build success with each other. Two things came up that really are big for you, and that's communication and consistency. And I think those can feed forward not only in business and life and relationships as a whole. Can you just dive into those two tactics, how communication is a superpower and what a consistent approach can bring into somebody's life?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so two big drivers in my life, again, on and off the field, is communication is our superpower. I mean, I believe that, like I believe my name's spelled with a PH, which it is, by the way. So, this is the one thing that separates us from every other living organism on the planet. So when I'm sitting here and I look outside and I see the squirrels and the birds and everybody else, going about their lives, like this is what separates us. And there are a lot of words to choose from. There are powerful ones. There are less powerful ones, like, hey, Zach, I'm going to try to make sure you get paid twice a month. Is that cool? Like, no, I want to get paid twice a month. Like someone doesn't want us to try to get them. Hey, Zach, I'm going to try to get you the best mortgage. I'm going to try to close you on time. That isn't what you want, right? You want committed language. So speaking powerfully, burning words like waiting, would, should, could, try, maybe, might, assumed, I thought, kind
It's
of.
fine. The word fine drives me nuts. It's fine. There's so many definitions
Yeah,
of fine,
sure.
apparently.
Do you want a beer? Sure. Like, yeah, like, speak powerfully, like really create a discipline for how, because this is where relationships are made and broken. And, relationships get broken all the time, whether it's, a romantic relationship, a work relationship, a friendship, right? All these different types of relationships that exist in our lives. And it's usually because someone expected something and it wasn't agreed upon. There was no agreed upon. Expectations can be the root of all evil or the best thing ever if they're agreed upon. So, communication as a superpower is a big one. That's my cup of tea, man. That's what gets me out of bed every day in regards to, like, how I'm managing my life, again, on and off the field with all the people that I interact with.
And
And
but I
yeah,
want to dive into that piece real quick because you said something that I found interesting. You said speak powerfully. That can be words. That can be several different things. That can be your presence, the way you vocalize things, and the speaking of words, I can't even think of freaking words right now. But thinking about how the inflection in your voice and how you speak. When you say speak powerfully, can you dive a little bit farther into that piece? Is it the words you're choosing? Is it conviction in what you're saying? Tell us
yeah,
how's that powerful?
committed language, the language of commitment. I'm going to create this outcome. I'm not going to try. I'm going to. Yeah, communication just is really crazy. I mean, a lot of people don't realize there's like over 7,000 spoken languages on this planet. There's over 4,000 written languages, and there's several different forms of the way we communicate: verbal, nonverbal, visual, listening. I mean, go watch America's Got Talent. People doing sand art on the show. Like we can communicate stories and create these things from practically anything. It's truly amazing. Like, I wake up astonished every day that we live on this planet and this is all going on, even this conversation now. But written language and verbal languages were created over 5,000 years ago. It's just this constant evolution process. And as we've gone through, the years, hundreds of years of evolution and language recently, a lot of weak languages showed up in our words that we use every day. And it's a way to not commit yourself to things, like, hey, I'll try to make sure I got this done. I should be able to. I probably will be there on time. Like we talk about integrity, like everyone thinks integrity is a virtue. It's not. The spoke on the wheel is broken. Are you going to ride that bike? No, the wheel's lost its integrity. But you do what you say you're going to do most of the time. So you have integrity. You either do or you do not. Integrity is black and white. There is no middle, no gray area there. So committing to language, committing to language of commitment. I'm going to. Zach, I'm going to get you the best deal on this mortgage. I'm going to get you to the closing table on time. I'm going to do all the things. Me and my team are going to do all the things necessary to create that outcome. There's no other option. And if there are changes, right, the world throws us curveballs, we will communicate those in a timely manner and keep you apprised of the situation. That's all we can do. You know, that's execution.
Huge.
But again, we use these weak words. I mean, we talk to clients all the time. Hey, can you get the application completed? You're looking to do this right away. Yeah, I should be able to do it. I'll get that over to you as soon as possible. Okay, great. Have a nice night. Very open-ended. Is it going to get done? I don't know. How about, hey, can you get this done by 5 p.m., close the business tomorrow? And you ask a firm question, right? Like when we throw the commitment word out, even if you're dating someone, like, hey, are we exclusive? Like, are you committed to this relationship? Like your ears perk up, right? It's an unwritten contract, right? It's a verbal contract. Your ears perk up when you ask for commitment from somebody. So I ask people for commitment. Hey, can you commit to doing this? Oh, you know what? I got this thing tomorrow. And then you start thinking about your schedule. And then you start thinking about whether you can, do the thing you said you're going to do or not. Because I do believe that deep down, we all want to be our word. We all want to be of our word. We all want to have integrity in our lives. But life gets in the way. So, when you ask for someone a commitment, it really stops them dead in their tracks and makes them rethink, can I do this?
I love that question. Can you confirm to this, and having that piece of it, like commit to that piece of it? I mean, that's huge. And it's interesting how there's sometimes like an awkwardness attached to being that, I don't even know. It's not even blunt. Like it's just being that firm attached to what you're saying. But why would there be an awkwardness in that communication? People aren't used to it, or why do you think people are nervous?
Not used to it. Not used to it. Most people use loose language. They're using these words like I think, I might, I should, I would, I probably, maybe. I thought you were going to do that. How many relationships end up in fights because why isn't no lawnmower today? I thought you said you were going to do it on Friday. I said I was going to try. Get off my back.
So give yourself an out attached to it, right? Like,
yeah, it's non-committed.
Yeah.
Right. And then think about like in our world, we issue mortgage commitments. We're committing to lending money. Right. That's why when you get a pre-approval and you need a mortgage commitment from a lender to move forward in the transaction, someone wants to know that you actually applied for financing and that someone's committed to lending it to you. It's a commitment. So it's a big word. It's a contractual word.
And the next piece of that is really focusing on not only are you being committed, but you're doing it consistently, right? You're talking about the integrity piece of it, is that consistent commitment. Talk about that consistent approach and how that kind of shifts the dynamic for people.
Yeah. So communicating powerfully, believing that communication is your superpower and using it, right? Like that, again, we can't fly over buildings and run faster than a speeding train and, or speeding bullet or whatever, like Superman, but we can communicate powerfully, and it changes the game, but doing it consistently. So the other belief that we have is consistent approach equals consistent results. You see this a lot in sports, right? If the batter who's been batting 300 starts going on a slump, they're analyzing the video, man. You're dropping your elbow, you're turning your hips too soon, you're bending your knee too much. Go back to what worked. Swing the bat the way you were swinging the bat and make those corrections. So consistent approach, consistent results is a big driver of, if you're doing, there's a lot to dig in there really, but like if you don't have a process, you don't have a scalable business. It's that simple. If every person you interact with, you're doing it a little bit differently, you're communicating differently, you're using committed language with some, not with others, you're going to have inconsistency creep into your business and or your personal life. It goes both ways. So, that's just it comes tied to that. If you're going to communicate powerfully, do it all the time.
And then disciplines. And that's the thing, right? It's discipline, doing it consistently and doing it over and over and over and over again. That consistency, they talk about in the gym, they talk about in nutrition, they talk about in business. You have to maintain that consistency across.
Yeah. And what does it create? Efficiency. You don't have to think about it. It's wash, rinse, repeat. Every client that comes my way, I know exactly what I'm going to do. It's not like, oh my God, Zach's calling me. He wants to get a mortgage. What should I do? Like I know exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to read you the RIDE Act, man. I'm a broken record. We talked earlier, in our podcast before, we talked about, the regimen, like having a regimen, like it just makes life easy when you have things set up consistently. It's not a guessing game. What am I going to eat? How am I going to eat? That's the biggest problem with diet and nutrition. People don't know what to eat. They don't know where to start. You got to fill your house with the things that you're going to consume. Start there.
And the moment you get hungry and go buy the junk food, and then it's in the house, don't shop when you're hungry, right? And it's funny, but it's that predictability, right? If you can create that predictable outcome, essentially you're setting yourself up for success, whether that's a morning routine, an evening routine, nutrition, gym. It's funny, I talk to people about waking up and working out, and they had to go all the way across to the living room to get their running shoes, or they're too lazy to get out of bed and do that piece. And it's like, you can set yourself up for a little bit better success than that. If you know you're already going to struggle, go ahead and knock it out. Put the phone across the room where you have to get up to get the alarm to turn it off, and your gym clothes are picked out and ready to go. I mean, it really can be that simple, but a lot of people just don't want to take that route.
Exactly. Yeah, or just don't know where to start to get into the habits, right? We call it breaking habits for a reason. Like, I don't know the math on this, and I'm going to butcher this, but when there are neural pathways that are created. Like when you learn, like how to write your name because you've done it so many times. Try writing it with your other hand, and it's like, whoa, was my hand broken? Right? Like you can write with your other hand. It's a discipline. You have to practice, just like you practice with the hand that you write with. So the neural pathways are designed, and it's the same concept there. You just got to get into that discipline, and it takes a lot of times to break those habits. You got to create new habits, and then they just eventually you forget about the old ones. The new ones just become new habits. So it is challenging. It's not easy. It's the road less traveled.
That's the big piece. It's not easy, right? It's simple, just not necessarily easy. And I know in the EPM world, you're a loan originator, and you really help in different aspects in the business side. One of the final things I want to touch on, you talk about being a relationship originator. Can you talk to me about how you define that phrasing attached to originating relationships for people?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, again, in my business, a lot of people think you just get business from realtors, builders, things that, people of that nature. Most of my business comes from people, just people. So like I tell people, like, become a relationship originator. Like, again, we mentioned this in the podcast. Like we're all just running around exchanging money back and forth to each other, right? We sell goods and services to each other. So if you're in the relationship business and you build relationships for a living, whatever good or we all have to work for a living, or at least most of us, right? 99% of us. If we whatever good or service is tied to us, if we're of the mindset of building relationships all the time, and the relationship comes first, you're going to do well at whatever it is that you do. You're going to sell more t-shirts. You're going to wash more cars. You're going to give more massages. Whatever the good or service is going to happen at a greater level. There's no such thing as a bad relationship market. Doesn't exist. And it's not just originating the relationships, it's maintaining the relationships. A lot of originators in our world, that I don't have time to call my past clients. They know to reach out to me if they're going to do something. Try that with all the other relationships in your life. Try not talking to your significant other for a week and see how that works out for you. Like, relationships have to be maintained. They're two-way streets. There has to be reciprocity in the communication. So by labeling yourself as a relationship originator, if that's how you get out of bed every day, and the next person who looks at you walking down the street, or the next person who drops off a box at your house, you actually call them by the first name, connect with them. Calling someone by the first name is just like the ultimate sign of respect. It's the first word you've ever learned. It's the word you've been called more than any other word in the world, right? To call someone by their first name, the waiter or waitress that's waiting on you, the person who's serving you as a cashier, they're going to remember you the next time you come in. They're going to know you. Separate yourself from like everybody when you do that.
It's true. And it's funny how many in the service industry, how many people have name tags on, and people don't take the time to read the name tag. And I was talking about Dale Carnegie. One of his top golden rules is all about remembering that a person's name is the sweetest and most important sound in any language. We're talking about all the languages that happen. I mean, it's amazing. I imagine with the spelling of your name, you might have had a V instead of a PH once in a while. And for me, it's a ZACH instead of ZACK. And if it happens once or twice, but when it's one of those consistencies and lack of attention to detail, something that small, or not using the name on their name tag, I mean, it could really shift the dynamic of that relationship very quickly.
Absolutely. Something so simple like that, right? Like that, our name is so near and dear to us. I mean, you hit the nail on the head, with that statement. Like that's the word, man. It's like it resonates in your soul.
Yeah, it's huge, man. It's huge. And I appreciate those insights, because I think that piece, and speaking powerfully, speaking with conviction, really being committed in that communication, I think is huge for a lot of folks. And I know you deliver that with EPM and a lot of what y'all are working on. Can you remind the audience, what's the best way for them to reach out, learn more about you, learn more about what you're doing with EPM, and overall just connect with you?
Yeah, you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. Instagram is Steve with a V underscore Carpitella. Email is scarpitella@epm.net. So it's SCARPITELLA at epm.net, or my cell phone, 215-802-4471. Can't be a relationship originator and not be willing to give out your cell phone number, man. You got to drink the Kool-Aid.
I love it, man. Carp, I appreciate your time. I appreciate all the wisdom you bring into it all. And definitely encourage everybody, reach out, find out more about what he's doing, how he's really transforming this world of lending and money and everything that's going into this. And overall, man, I appreciate your time today.
Yeah, likewise. Thank you so much for having me.